everyone. This is Luca Majno. We're back with Frank Gregory Ford again. This is Global News Update on TLBTV, courtesy of the Liberty Beacon Project, where we give you complete backstage and up-to-date info as to the developments occurring in our world today. Hello from California again, Greg.
Yes. Yeah, good afternoon. Or good evening almost. All right. I'll tell you what, Luca, I'm still having problems with my chest, throat.
Yes.
Go ahead, do the opening on this church shooting.
Well, it's not really an opening at all because I wanted to hear what you had to say on it. And share a screen with it. I wanted to give you the honor. This is first snapshot, which says there were multiple deaths in shooting at the Texas church. This is like, when there's several criminals that are on the loose, they always leave tracks. They always leave signatures. They always leave something that attributes to them. Always the same thing over and over. Right, Greg?
Yes. And this is I just heard about just about an hour ago. And I can't get any real details on it, but very clearly, it's a remote church. Okay. I believe it's a Protestant church and it's way out in the middle of nowhere. Okay. I saw a picture of it and, it's in Eastern Texas. And I think, for that many people killed, okay, that had to have been a real intentional laid out massacre. Somebody was really planning that.
These are an hour old. I'm sorry if I'm interrupting you. These are an hour old. As of then, it was 27 dead and more than 24 injured in Texas church shooting. So we're going back to the first clip of that. And this is the agenda, because Greg, you even told me on the last show how ridiculous it seemed that the FBI could just hire some loser, as you called him, and just tell him to go rent a van and go mow 8 people down. And this is like you have a global, practically a global event because of it. So it's so easy to just go, oh, okay, let's do that over here. Let's do one over there. These people are used to doing this type of thing, destabilizing the world entire.
Well, that the New York issue is interesting because, as I put it out, the big massacres, and we're getting a massacre a week now. Okay, if you look at the scheduling of this, it seems to be pretty intentional, and 2 of these, what the massacres have now occurred in the Jade Helm, the Operation Jade Helm, which I spoke to our listeners about. Okay. Yes. And of course, it's obvious to see why something happened in New York City. Okay. That's the home of all of this 9/11, business. And I did confirm everything I said to our listeners about that, he being a part of a 4-person cell. Okay. Which is actually located not too far from where this, in New York, where this tragic accident happened. His other 3 companions, terrorist companions, they are now on the loose. They haven't been detected by law enforcement, but they are on the loose and they are running. All right. But this thing in Texas, usually that's a very, in this type of situation, that's a very disturbed individual, probably doing antidepressant drugs, SIAO drugs. And to be this intentional, that's what makes those drugs so dangerous. Okay, is that they actually give you a sense of logistical planning, which it appears that what this fellow did. Not too long ago, there was a young man who did this. A white young man, white Caucasian, walked into an African American church and did almost exactly the same thing. And of course, he was doing the antidepressant drugs too. So
right.
And and that case is wrapping up now with a trial. Okay, it's going to trial, and it will be wrapping up soon.
Okay,
But
correct me if I'm wrong, Greg, but if I can be blunt, if I would want, if I would want to inflict the most pain on people, okay, if I would want to do the most damage, or if I really wanted to make an imprint and make a really significant psychological distress on my enemy, I would do none other than exactly what they're doing. They're using churches. They're going after your mental stability. Oh my God, my church. Oh my God, my religion. They're touching on so many delicate issues like that, just to create a spark of panic and chaos, which is although ab chaos, the famous Latin word, order out of chaos, which is exactly what they're doing. They create the chaos, and then they profit from everything else, and they can control us.
Well, they're also attacking, the house of God too. If there's a religious issue here, that's what it is. And they're also attacking a place where they know is going to be a lot of people concentrated in one place,
right,
with a very narrow exit to get out of. All right. So there could be a couple of reasons, but the bottom line is these are small consolation to the families of those that were killed today.
Yes.
And and I can never say enough, or I can never say the right thing, to express my feelings about these issues. Being in the counterterrorism business like I was for almost 3 decades, I still feel tremendous loss and empathy with the families and friends of those that were killed in these situations. That's where the greatest victims are, right there.
Mm-hmm.
So I extend my condolences to those people in that small town of I believe it's Sutherland, Texas.
Mm.
So that's the way I feel at this point. And when now the next issue is something that I've talked to our listeners about the use of chemicals in warfare.
Right.
And right now in Brussels.
I'm losing your video, Greg. I'm losing your video.
Is that okay?
I'm losing your video,
right.
and you're breaking up. Why don't I start with my thing on war to be able to go into the chemical issue, because I just want to bring some really important subject matter up first to lead into your thing on Syria, if that's all right.
Okay, go ahead, Luca.
Maybe
if this cleans up.
Yeah, maybe it'll give the time for it to clean up. Exactly. Okay. I wanted us to first of all focus on war, and we know that the average citizen doesn't want war. We don't want war. I'm going to share screens with you now, so that we can go back to World War II and find out who was guilty. Okay, we can go back to not too long ago, just a couple of years ago, 900 bases in 153 countries. It's not fighting for your freedom; it's an empire. Okay, notice the logos on their shirts and on their uniform. Dear USA, you appear to be somewhat confused. The following may be of some help. Your job is your country, not your job is the rest of the world. Just in case you misunderstood, right? Just in case there was a problem. I got in trouble for putting this post up on social media a couple of days ago, and I wanted to clear this up. The money required to eradicate hunger for everyone in the world has been estimated at $30 billion a year. Okay, that's as much as the world spends on military every 8 days. So I said to myself, okay, well, let's go check what the military spends. And Greg, you're going to love this. the top 20 that I got from MSN on who profits from war. Look at the arms sales on the bottom and look at the name on top and just follow the middle of the screen. I just want to go through them real quick. It might be impressive to some people. Booz Allen Hamilton. I think the Hamilton was dropped or the Allen was dropped. Which one was it?
Yeah, the Hamilton was dropped.
The Hamilton was dropped.
And I think everyone knows my history with Booz Allen now.
Right. We're getting into that almost every show if we can. Just look at them as I go by. United Shipbuilding. So some of them we've never heard of. Bechtel in Germany or in Europe. United Aircraft. And look at the arms sales. These are the people that are profiting and engineering war. Rolls-Royce, Harris, Safran. Am I pronouncing that correct, Greg?
Yes, right.
Okay.
Raptor.
Almaz Ante. Sounds awfully.
Oh, right.
Huntington Ingalls Industries.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Thales.
Mm-hmm. Oh, French.
Your friends at L3, right? L3 Communications. Good Lord.
Well, yeah, they know how to rendition and torture people, certainly.
Right. Yes. Fin Mechanica. These are the top ones. United Technologies, Airbus Group. Okay. They're raking in the billions and billions. General Dynamics. Look at the billions in arms sales going up. Northrop Grumman. Raytheon. BAE Systems. Just to give, an update on who is doing what and how well. Boeing, and look at who sits at the top, Lockheed Martin.
Predators.
So this is what we're looking at.
Okay, there's a new form of.
I had to rephrase it. I had to put it properly. Very quickly, in closing snapshot, I think this is cute for toxic people and toxic things in your life that you have to get rid of. Toxic people will not be changed by your alchemy of your kindness, okay? Yes, be kind, but move on swiftly and let life be their educator. That's the best way to be. That way you get everybody negative and toxic out of your life. Life begins where fear ends, okay? Most of us operate through fear because we don't want to expose this stuff because we're afraid of losing the scraps that we have from the table. So, Greg, I'm going to leave it at that for my snapshot. I hope the video's better. I hope our connection's better. And we need you to talk about the Middle East, which, by the way, has been rendered a what do they call that? It's glowing. It's glowing because of the depleted uranium-238 used in the Gulf War alone, 350 tons of depleted uranium. That's a whole other show. But Greg, what's going on with Syria?
Okay, as of right now, it has become apparent that all the chemical attacks that the Syrian civilian population has suffered, well, those were not from the Syrian government. Those are from the U.S. government, courtesy of the U.S. government, okay, that those chemical attacks were directed. And as I've said all along, and the CIA has confirmed it for me, that yes, the Bush administration, okay, the Bush family was directly responsible for those chemical weapons that were sent first of all into Iraq, and from Iraq, as we invaded, looking for those weapons. That's something that no one seems to comprehend. That's why we started the Iraq War, was to find those chemical weapons that we sold Saddam Hussein.
Right.
George W. Bush sat on the board of directors of the Carlyle Group, and they are responsible for those weapons being shipped to Iraq. Mm-hmm. All right. Now, those weapons are being used, have been used, and as a result, though, we've now got everybody questioning the fact that, hey, where did these chemical weapons come from? I'll spare everybody the agony of wondering, all right? They came from the Bush family cartel, the criminal cartel, all right? Going on in Belgium right now, all the investigations that are going on with the Russians, because the Russians are denying that they had anything to do with them. The Russians are correct. Funny thing, the Russians used to be known for all the lies and so forth that they perpetuated.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's the Americans that are perpetuating the lies.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, we've got people suffering all over the world as a result of our chemical weapons, mass destruction, and so forth. Okay. And surprise, that kind of leads us into another issue about the amoral, psychopathological family, okay, the Bushes. And I'll be straightforward about this, is everybody knows that the files on the Kennedy assassination were supposed to have been released. Strange thing happened on the way to the forum, okay? First of all, we had something redirecting our attention again. That was the false flag attack in New York, okay? Right, you've got it, a false flag in New York. And then, have you noticed, only a tip of the iceberg of the amount of files have been released. Mm-hmm. And it is so overwhelming what I have found out about why, okay, first of all, Kennedy, no questions about that. But yes, now it appears beyond all shadow of a doubt that it was Poppy Bush, okay? H.W. Bush.
Oh, we lost the video. We lost the video, and we actually, you know what? If we don't use video, Greg, can you hear me still? We lost unmute. Greg, you know what? If we shut the video off, maybe it'll be a better signal, audio. And I'll just put a picture of you, because this is all NSA interference, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely, all of it.
No, it's not letting me unmute.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfect.
Okay. That's NSA interfering right now.
So okay? I've got the video shut off, and I'm going to put a gorgeous picture of you instead.
Okay. So what we have, all right, is going back to something even more amazing. And for all of those who can still hear me,
we can.
I want you. Can you hear me?
We can hear you fine.
Okay. What I want to be done, okay, everybody listening, is to go to your computer and or write this name down. Okay, write this name down. This is what the CIA was dealing with 3 weeks before they decided to kill Kennedy, President Kennedy. Write the name Valiant, VALIANT, Thor, and I'll spell that THOR.
Right. We have.
Please go look that up.
Yeah, we have that. We have that written down.
Go look that up, right? Everybody needs to look that up, because that name is exactly why a memo was sent from Alan Dulles, and I've seen the memo, okay, myself, to the CENTCOM commander, okay, of DOD, Department of Defense, chiefs of staff, saying that if John F. Kennedy chose to reveal to the American people about the presence of extraterrestrials, all right, and Valiant Thor is the name of the extraterrestrial, Alan Dulles states very clearly that he is going to bring in his specialized wet work team, wet work team, that means an assassination team, by the way, all right, to kill Kennedy, all right, to specifically kill John F. Kennedy, the President of the United States. That letter was dated November 2nd, 1963, 3 weeks before John F. Kennedy had his head blown off, okay, by a wet work team, okay? That is so overwhelming that most people will say, oh, this guy's crazy. We want him to go look it up on a computer. Please, as I say, what do we always say, Luca,
Don't
to our
believe us.
listeners? Don't believe us. Research it on your own, okay? And it makes perfect sense now, because this was a warning by an extraterrestrial who actually was at the White House dealing with President Eisenhower on the dangers of using nuclear weapons. And surprise, what do we have right now? What do we have going on right now? We have a maniac, okay, in the White House who's threatening North Korea with nuclear weapons, all right? We have that situation on our hands, okay? and probably everybody is saying, well, why would we threaten North Korea? Good question, listeners. Well, here's why. Russia, gee, imagine this. Imagine Russia being involved with the United States government. Russia and the United States are building a secret oil pipeline coming from Russia to the city of Seattle, okay? It's being laid on the ocean floor, and it runs from Pryoshka Base in Siberia to the coast, and then it swings south, okay, across the Bering Sea. And the irony is the only thing that is perceived as being a threat to this pipeline is North Korea.
Right.
Okay? That's what our government doesn't want you to understand, is North Korea. And that's what Donald Trump doesn't want you to understand, is North Korea is threatening this pipeline, the construction of this pipeline. And the other irony is, remember the $9 trillion that went missing, okay, at the beginning of this election term,
Yes,
of Mr. Trump? That $9 trillion, well, guess what is funding and financing this pipeline from Russia to the United States? All right?
we can hear you good, Greg.
I'm sorry?
We can hear you good.
Good, okay.
We can hear you fine.
That's what we have happening right now. That's why the files are not being released on Kennedy, on the JFK files.
Oh, we're losing you now. You're breaking up. But that's probably one of the reasons why they're not exposing all of the papers.
Okay.
We're having more and more trouble with them.
Can't.
But we're getting a lot.
And also the fact that, okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay. Now, I have given our listeners the list that ostensibly our government, the CIA does not want you to know. Yes, I gave you the names of the 6 countries that signed off on the assassination of Kennedy. Mm-hmm. There's actually 4 more that I'm attempting to identify. And yeah, that is a big issue. And remember who authorized the release of those files. It was George H.W. Bush, who authorized 25 years ago those release of those files. Now, the idea is he wasn't supposed to be alive, okay? He was already being fingered as the assassin who orchestrated the assassination, George H.W. Bush, with CIA assets. And all of a sudden, here he is. He signed that release to release those files in 25 years, okay? And guess what? All right, it has now been 25 years, and they convinced Donald Trump, okay, that somehow his life would be endangered, okay, if they released that information on the Valiant Thor issue, and also the number of countries that were involved in the assassination of Kennedy, okay? That's what we have. And yes, the CIA is involved heavily in both issues right now. So in other words, all this Russia interfering, this is all eyewash, folks. Nothing's going to happen. Mueller's not going to do anything to anybody. Oh yeah, indictment, hell, you know, they make it sound like, you know, like somebody's gone to prison and been convicted. It's not going to happen, folks. All right. But we are in a very dangerous position right now, more than ever, of nuclear weapon exchange. Okay. A nuclear weapon exchange and which will be done to protect Donald Trump and several large oil companies and energy companies, okay, to make their money, their fortunes, and that includes Russia too, all right, and Vladimir Putin too. Right now, 45% of all revenues that are from Russia are tied to the petroleum industry, all right, and that number's going down. They need to get their petroleum products back up and sold. That will make the United States of America, Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, the #1 oil magnates in the world, let alone the richest men in the world. Okay, that's what we have here. All right, going on right now as I'm speaking. So please go look up Valiant Thor and see if I'm actually technically crazy. Okay.
Right.
Hey, you know, remember, I'm the guy who said there was horrible torture going on in Iraq, and that torture was being used to propagate the copper green program that the Bush family had started.
Yeah.
And our own government said, "Oh, I'm crazy, I'm nuts, ha ha, laugh, laugh, big joke." Well, it turns out to be I was very, very correct. And I'm very, very correct on this issue right now. So
this is, Greg, this is one of the reasons why we're so proud to, or I can speak for myself, why I am so proud to be involved in such a project as Global News Update with you. I hate to come to a close, but I'm going to give you the last closing statements, and I'll just say goodbye real quick afterwards, because I want you to still lighten the caves, so to speak, of the JFK file, the JFK Jr. file. That's where I thought you were going at first. I want to make it very clear what we know about Hillary being directly involved with that, because one time on social media, I actually saw it myself. I simply saw one line comment on the bottom. It said, well, Hillary wanted the seat the JFK Jr. had, so she got rid of him.
Well, the way I understand it is that is absolutely correct. And Hillary Clinton was what you have to look at the numbers here involved.
Yes.
Okay. They were leaving the White House, and she was getting ready to do a presidential run. And remember, when you say Clintons, you say Bushes. They're the best of friends, best of buddies. Forget all this animosity. Never was there.
No.
Okay. They're both come from the biggest drug producing families on the face of the planet. Okay. Well, so what happens? Hillary looks around, and out of the
we lose him again. Got interference
he was
again.
a shoo-in, okay, for the presidency. And I got this from a George magazine staffer who told me this. And he decided to run. He told one person that he was running for president, and that was Al Gore. Remember Al Gore?
Of course.
Okay. and JFK Jr. was dead 3 weeks later. All right. Now, always remember, who were his assassins? His assassins were, of course, the Israelis, the premier cultural group for assassination, of modern day, okay, are the Israelis. And yes, they were actually seen picking up the dead body of the co-pilot from the smashed plane who was still in his seat. There were witnesses to that. And there were also witnesses to the Israelis dumping the high-tech equipment used to detonate a explosive on the engine of that plane. If you look at the glide path of that plane, when it was crashing into Martha's Vineyard, it wasn't gliding into the airport, folks. It wasn't gliding into the ocean. It was falling straight down, okay? Because the people were already dead before they even hit the water in the plane as a result of that explosive that was placed in the engine compartment, okay? So, yes, Hillary Clinton gave the order, and that removed any threat that she had to, wiping her out as a, candidate. It removed every threat, all right? That's who killed. She gave the order. That's who killed JFK Jr. And yes, he would have made a spectacular president.
Yeah, just like all the other Kennedys that they wanted to get rid of. It seemed they didn't like the last name.
And the other thing too was he was going to his first duty was going to read the gem file. It was called the gem file on the entire assassination process for his father. Okay. So, and what would that, and you're probably saying, well, who cares? We already know. Well, who's best friends with the Bush family? Hillary Clinton. The Clintons, folks. There it is. There's no mastermind behind all of this. It's pretty easy. All you got to do is to be in the intelligence business and say, look, who benefits from these murders? Who benefits from attacking this country? Okay? Who benefits from starting this war? It's very simple. It doesn't take a genius. If I could do it, every one of my listeners could do it and figure this out too. All right?
Greg, I'm so glad you said that.
This evening.
Greg, I'm so glad you said that, because we are showing a screenshot right now of that Latin phrase that says, if, it's usually the people that have to profit from the crime that are usually the ones that committed it. So on that, I'd like to thank you so much. It's too bad we can't see you, but at least we can hear you better. And we thank you so much for being with us on the show today. I feel like I'm a radio host now. So we'll see you next time on Global News Update. And thank you so much for being there and faithfully doing the show together.
Okay. The only thing I have to say is I would love some questions from our listeners. Love some questions on any of this material that I've released tonight. So that's so I can be sure that people are listening and tracking, and looking up, situations like Valiant Thor.
Right.
All right.
There you go.
On their own computers. Okay, my friend.
Have a good night.
Good
Thank
evening
you.
to our listeners. Thank you so much.